America's favorite fraud, Dr. Fauci, is back in the news as he urges Americans to wear goggles for added COVID 19 protection. You know, at this point, Dr. Fauci is reaching that point where he's not a doctor, he just plays one on TV. That's really where Fauci is starting to reach right now, because this is getting ridiculous. So let's go ahead. This is from the New York Post. Dr. Anthony Fauci suggested that people wear goggles or face shields as an added measure of protection against contracting the coronavirus, according to a report. Can you imagine how ridiculous everyone is going to look walking around wearing fucking goggles and face masks? And what's next? We're going to have to wear swimmies in case a fucking hurricane comes or a tsunami comes and hits the coast real quick? What's next? There's no end with this guy. If you have goggles or an eye shield, you should use it, Fauci, 79, the top U.S. infectious disease expert, told ABC News chief medical correspondent Dr. Jennifer Ashton on Wednesday. Yeah, he's really the top infectious disease expert, except for the fact that he's been wrong on fucking everything. The dude doesn't seem to have any idea what he's talking about, and he flip-flops on issues non-stop. I mean, at first he told us, don't wear a mask. Wearing a mask is bad. And he later backtracked once he started saying that everybody needed to wear a mask. He backtracked and said the only reason he said it was bad was because the healthcare professionals actually needed it. But that wasn't what he said at the time. What he said at the time was that we should not wear one, that it does nothing, and that it can actually be harmful because we sit there and we play with it and we do all this other stuff. So he straight up lied to us. And you got to remember, Dr. Fauci, he's not just a doctor that runs an office that you would go into. He is involved in medical policy, which means there's always an element of politics involved in what he does. He's actually more of a medical politician than he is an actual fucking doctor. Yet he doesn't want us to notice any of that. Sorry, turn the air off. When asked if eye protection will become formal recommendation at some point, he said, it might. No. If you really want perfect protection of the mucosal surfaces, I don't. Because I'm not paranoid about this disease with like a 99.8% survival rate. Fauci, a member of the White House Pandemic Task Force and director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, explained the rationale for the measure. If you have mucosa in the nose, you have mucosa in the nose, mucosa in the mouth, but you have mucosa in the eye, he said, theoretically, you should protect all the mucosal surfaces. So if you have goggles or an eye shield, you should use it. You know what? No. Not going to happen. I will not be caught dead. I damn near refuse to wear a mask unless I'm walking into a store that absolutely makes me wear a mask. You will not see me out on the streets in the sunshine with a mask up. Not going to happen. So you're damn sure not going to see me walking around with some fucking goggles on. Fauci also addressed when people should get tested if they believe they've been exposed to the bug, since there are no official guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention or for the National Institutes of Health on the matter. That question came up in a task force meeting yesterday, and we asked the same news, and we were asked the same thing, and we said there's no real recommendation. Of course, because he has no idea. He doesn't know. And honestly, you listen to Dr. Fauci talk, and he sounds like he's been smoking half a carton of Cowboy Killers every day since he was 12. So I do not trust that guy. We have made a Faustian deal with the devil with this guy. And, you know, that's one thing. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have shut down the damn economy. But that's the problem when you have experts running the show. You shut down any political debate. Running a country is not a singular issue. It's so multifaceted. It's so complex. There are so many different things at play when you're running a country that you can't just take an expert from one field and do everything that he says, because you don't know how it's going to affect all of the other gears that all the other gears that make the country run. Ooh, excuse me. And so we've listened to Dr. Fauci on everything that he's had to say. We followed his recommendations. We've shut down the entire economy, completely ignoring what economic experts would say about shutting down an economy for the largest country in the world for 6 months, largest in terms of the economy, what economic impacts would have, what health effects of that would have on people because of the shutdown. Completely ignored all of that because we just tunnel visioned right in on COVID, as if COVID was the only thing this country had to worry about. But it's not. There are so many things in running a country that you have to worry about, and a disease with a 99.8% survival rate should not be all that high on the list. It should not be the dominating factor on the list. Fauci also said that he hopes wearing masks will help limit the spread of flu in the fall. Oh, it will. So that's a completely different backtrack on what he said previously. In fact, let's take a look at all of the things Dr. Fauci has gotten wrong. And this list goes back from, so this is from May 12th. So this is an old list. So I'm sure he's gotten plenty of things wrong since then. But for one, Dr. Fauci says he warned Trump in January that the U.S. was in real trouble, but that is not what he said publicly. In January, Dr. Anthony Fauci told Newsmax TV that the United States did not have to worry about the coronavirus and that it was not a major threat. So, was he wrong or did he flat out lie? Because we know that Dr. Fauci has ties to the World Health Organization, which was a front for China. So was he running the World Health Organization lies on behalf of China? If so, this man needs to be in Guantanamo Bay until the day he dies. He'd be just as culpable as China for this. And I'm thinking that might be the case. Dr. Fauci warned of an apocalyptic coronavirus pandemic, then just weeks later compared the coronavirus to a bad flu. Again, back and forth. Dr. Fauci based all of his predictions off of the garbage IHME models that were off by millions, and then later told reporters you can't really rely on models. Yet he relied on them well enough to tell us to shut the damn economy down, put millions of people out of work, take food off of kids' tables. He was able to rely on them for that. But then when they proved entirely wrong, he's, well, you guys can't really rely on models all that well. And I think the guy who actually founded that model, he's a British guy, I believe. This is the same model that he's referring to. It's this British guy who's been wrong on all of his models in the past. And as he was telling everybody in London to stay home, he was making trips across town to cheat on his wife with his girlfriend. I mean, we have real scum running all of our politics now. And it's just disgusting. On March 20th, Dr. Fauci jumped in and corrected the president during a press briefing on hydroxychloroquine treatment for coronavirus, saying, "You got to be careful when you say fairly effective. It was never done in a clinical trial. It was given to individuals that felt maybe it worked." Again, well, I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save that commentary for a little bit later. Exactly 2 weeks later, hydroxychloroquine was deemed the most highly rated treatment for the novel coronavirus in an international poll of more than 6,000 doctors. Clearly, Dr. Fauci is a mouthpiece for other concerns, for other interests. Whatever interests are controlling the Democratic Party these days, whether it's China, whether it's communism, whether it's whatever the fucking deep state is, nobody can really stick a finger on it because it's so fucking complex and there are so many shady people behind it. But Fauci is part of this. Dr. Fauci pushed these garbage models every step of the way. A month ago, Dr. Fauci claimed 1 to 2 million Americans would die from coronavirus. Then he said that 100,000 to 200,000 Americans will die from the virus. 3 weeks ago, he agreed that 81,766 Americans would die from the virus. That's a pretty specific number for a guess, huh? Then, by that Wednesday, the experts cut the number of deaths to 60,000 projected deaths. And there's actually no actual way that we can compare the predicted numbers to the actual numbers, because the actual numbers have been fudged so much, nobody really knows the real numbers. We've had hospitals actually get paid to mark non-COVID deaths as COVID. We've seen people with gunshot wounds get marked that they die from COVID. What does that mean? Their murderer gets off? Because you can't murder somebody with coronavirus. On Easter, Dr. Fauci suggested Trump should have shut down the economy in February, when the number of cases in the U.S. was around 100. Fauci later walked back his attacks. Yeah, he's going to go from saying, oh, it's not a problem, to he should have shut the economy down in February. This guy is a lunatic. This guy isn't a professional. He's not a doctor. He's a fucking lunatic that somehow has a PhD and somehow worked his way politically up the ladder. He's not the top infectious disease doctor. He's just somebody who was able to climb the ladder, doing whoever's bidding. Dr. Fauci said cruises were okay on March 9th. That was a huge error. Dr. Fauci said malls, movies, and gyms were okay on February 29th. That was another huge mistake. Dr. Fauci was wrong about the first coronavirus deaths in the country. Dr. Fauci, Dr. Birx, and the CDC were off by nearly a month. California officials revealed in April that a patient in Santa Clara died from coronavirus on February 6th, not February 29th. Dr. Fauci and the CDC missed the millions and millions of U.S. citizens who had already contracted the coronavirus before the draconian lockdowns took place, knowing this could have prevented the economic calamity. Of course, because he's wrong on fucking everything. On April 15th, 2020, Fauci endorses Tinder hookups. Unbelievably. Yeah, that is unbelievable. Then he went on to say that Americans should never shake hands again. Get this guy the fuck out of there. Who is this guy? Dr. Fauci relied on corrupt WHO rules to lock down the United States and destroy the U.S. economy. Meanwhile, this delays the herd immunity that is needed to prevent a future outbreak of this deadly virus. Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx used the Imperial College model to persuade President Trump to lock down the entire U.S. economy. The Imperial model has since been confirmed to be a complete fraud. Dr. Fauci warned that Georgia would see a huge surge in coronavirus cases and deaths by opening the economy too early. He was wrong again. The opposite happened. And on Tuesday, during testimony, Dr. Fauci told Dr. Rand Paul that opening schools would not be a good idea. Last week, the Netherlands and Switzerland reopened their schools after finding children are not at risk from coronavirus and are not carriers of the virus. Dr. Fauci continues to be wrong day after day, yet U.S. senators and the media treat him like a wise king. He is a fucking court jester. The doctor put over 20 million Americans out of work based on bogus models, and yet this man, after all of his devastation, still has a job. He shouldn't have his freedom. He should be in prison. Because there's no way that he didn't know what he was doing. At least some of these mistakes. Dr. Fauci's mistakes will take years to correct. Only in government can someone with this kind of track record still keep a job. Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And now he's here and he wants us to go back to he wants us to wear fucking eye goggles. This guy's a clown show. So let's see, where were we on this? Meanwhile, the doctor also discussed the anti-malarial drug hydroxychloroquine, saying in an interview with MSNBC that all the valid scientific data show that the drug is not effective in treating COVID-19. All of the valid data. You talk about the Lancet report? That had to be retracted as a fraud. Are you talking about what was that with the veterans with the VA study? That ended up also being completely erroneous. It seems like all of the studies that show that hydroxychloroquine is not good tend to be false, poorly run, or are outright lies, outright fraudulent. Meanwhile, you have, and this is all in response to a whole slew of doctors who have come out. We have had countless doctors come out now saying that they have treated hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of patients with hydroxychloroquine and everyone survives. I think that's your clinical trial, Dr. Fauci. I think you've had your trial now. So shut the fuck up and let the real doctors, and not the politician doctors, do what they do best, save lives. Because at this point, you have done nothing but cost people their lives and cost people their livelihoods. Enough of you. America needs to fire Dr. Fauci. Shouldn't even be considered a doctor anymore at this point. You look at the scientific data and the evidence, and the scientific data and all these trials that are valid, they're not valid. That were randomized and controlled in the proper way. All of those trials show consistently that hydroxychloroquine is not effective in the treatment of coronavirus disease or COVID-19. There were studies back in 2005 talking about how hydroxychloroquine was a cure for coronaviruses. Because COVID-19 isn't the only kind of coronavirus. And it was shown in 2005 to work on coronaviruses. In fact, there was a medical show in, I think, 2006. I think it was a British show. Might have been a British show. I don't remember what show it is. I don't like hospital shows. But some patient comes in and he's got a deadly coronavirus disease. And on the show, they say, give him hydroxychloroquine. This thing is well known. So Dr. Fauci is outright lying to us. He knows he is lying. Yet he is pushing the narrative. This guy is a narrative actor, not a doctor. It's infuriating. Because people are dying and he's just letting it happen. Hopefully this guy gets tried for genocide or something along those lines. Mass murder. I mean, this is Dr. Fauci and Dr. Kevorkian belong in the same fucking sentence. It's going to be Dr. Fauci, Dr. Kevorkian, and Dr. Hermit Gosnell all together. His remarks came a day after President Trump renewed his push for coronavirus patients to take the controversial drug. The president spoke at length during a White House press briefing about the medication, including his experience taking it for 2 weeks as a COVID-19 prophylactic. Many doctors think it is extremely good and some don't. I happen to believe in it. I would take it. As you know, I took it for a 14-day period, and I'm here, right? I'm here, he said. On Monday night, Trump retweeted some messages for support of the drug's use. It's safe. It doesn't cause problems. I had no problem. I had absolutely no problem. Felt no different. Didn't feel good or bad or indifferent, Trump said Tuesday. It didn't get me, and it's not going to get me, hopefully. And it's not going to hopefully... Yeah, it didn't get me, and it's not going to hopefully hurt anybody. The president on Tuesday said he was unaware of Fauci's views on hydroxychloroquine and that he has a good relationship with the doctor. I'm pretty sure Trump hates the fuck out of Dr. Fauci. I'm pretty sure Trump keeps Dr. Fauci in a fucking cage when he's not on TV. Despite an overnight tweet of a message, which was later removed, criticizing the infectious disease expert. He's no expert. He's proven that he's not an expert. He's proven one of two things. He's proven either that he is not an infectious disease expert, or that being an expert doesn't mean shit. Which I think we already know. You know, it's always the left that puts so much stock in the expert. You know, that it's the idea that we the people do not have any kind of common sense, any kind of discernment of our own, and we must be obsequious to those who have PhDs in the field and know that whatever they say is golden. It's a way to shut down debate. It's a way to shut down dissent. This over-reliance on the expert is a trapping of left-wing capital S science, where science and politics are one and the same, and the science can be skewed if it fits the politics. That is what we're witnessing. And the politics of the pandemic are to keep things shut down so that Trump does not have an economy to run on in November. This entire thing is about the election. It has been from day one. It continues to be. And if we keep... I know most people at this point... I was about to say if we keep giving them the benefit of the doubt, but I know nobody really is. Nobody's giving them the benefit of the doubt anymore. They have lied to us way too much. They've been wrong about way too much. We're not that stupid. We don't have to be experts to know when we're being fucking lied to. when we're being manipulated, when we're having our lives stolen from us. You don't have to be an expert to know when you're being oppressed. And I don't mean in that bullshit oppression that the left likes to talk about. Because those fucking commies are going to do nothing but oppress when they get power. They evidence it every single day. All right, the clip was later... Oh, okay, so let's see. During Tuesday's press conference, Trump was asked by a reporter about a video he shared on Twitter that claimed hydroxychloroquine is a cure for COVID, that you don't need a mask to slow the spread of the coronavirus. Now, they failed to mention here that video was a bunch of doctors. And one of the doctors, it turns out, lost her job over it. You want to talk about this isn't politics? The clip was later labeled as containing misleading information and has since been deleted. Why? Why would you delete information from doctors who are experts in their field about a drug? They say it's because they don't want people to go out and just start taking this drug, but it's a prescription drug. They cannot get hold of it without talking to their doctors. This is just them silencing opposition in the conversation. It is pure politics. At the cost of Americans. At the cost of American lives. At the cost of the overall well-being of our country. This is all fucking Democrats. Alright, that's it for this video. This shit pisses me off so much. I've got another one that also has to do with the health industry coming up next. That's gonna be, you're gonna really see me pissed off. You think this one pisses me off? Stay tuned. So if you like this video, please remember to subscribe, like, share, comment, hit the notification bell. Also, don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Parler at Thorburn. And if you'd like to help contribute to this channel, there are links to my PayPal, Subscribestar, and Patreon listed in the description below. So thank you guys very much for watching. Please spread this message as much as Big Tech will let you spread this message, because they are currently silencing any dissent and any message like this out there. So who knows? Maybe this video will even get deleted. If it is, fuck them. But you guys have a wonderful day.